Welcome to this BVTV Business Podcast, coming through to you from the UK studios of BizVision. I'm your host, Malcolm Gallagher. This is episode 2 in a trilogy with my guest, Dr. Roger Firestien. Now, in episode 1 of the trilogy, Roger, an expert in creativity and innovation, started us thinking creatively with his CPS process. And in this episode, I'm going to chat with him about this book. Here it is. Why didn't I think of that? How many times have I said that? How many times? Why didn't I think that? Better ideas and decision making at home and work. Hello, Roger.
Hello, Malcolm.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to chatting about this book. It's just a nice little handy size, isn't it? You know, that you can take with you when you're going to the dentist waiting room.
To the dentist, on the airplane. Yeah. There are many of these in the loo, in many places.
Oh, I can imagine. We'll not go down that line.
No, Roger, we won't go down that line.
Let's get started on episode 2 of your trilogy for BVT. Now, you say, as it's totally relevant to today's uncertain world, that when change is a constant, people need imaginative thinking and a new perspective to problem solving. This book here distills the creativity process into 10 rules, and it's number 10 I've followed all my life. Look at problems as opportunities. Last episode, we looked at creativity. Tell us your thoughts on applying innovation and how you illustrate it in the book.
Yes, and let me first off, in the book, this is a little creativity fable, and it is written about, and it uses a company called the Big Black and White Company. And their tradition is, we are the Big Black and White Company. We maintain the time-honored tradition of doing things the way we've always done them before. Right? Mm-hmm. And it details the story of a character in the Big Black and White Company, the senior idea forager. And his job is to go out and find ideas to make the black blacker and the white whiter. Until one day, this other company comes on the scene called the Color Company. It catches the Big Black and White Company off guard. They start to get more of the market. And this is the story about James in the book, who actually learns about creative problem solving with his visit with the Color Company, and then begins to take it back. And so that's where we distill the 10 sort of principles of creativity that I've used and applied over the years. But Malcolm, I think one of the things that we talk about, and I think that's really crucial that you mentioned, is looking at problems as opportunities in the book, which we really talk about. And so let me tell you a little story about this and how you can infuse innovation into organizations. And I was speaking at a virtual conference recently, and one of the people at the conference asked this question. And he said, how do you move from a one-off sort of creative team meeting or from a creativity program to internalizing principles of creativity that people can use in their work and in their life? Mm-hmm. And I have to tell you that at first I was stumped, okay, because I've been thinking this way for 44 years. I've been in this field since I was 22 years old. And then one of my brilliant graduate students said, well, she said, here's the thing, learn the language of creativity. Learn the language of creativity. So what is the language of creativity? Well, I like the language of creativity is the language of possibilities. And the language of creativity is just really a simple question. So if you want creative ideas, you need creative questions. Okay? And creative questions, so for example, say you're working on a project and somebody says, well, we don't have enough money. Was that a good question or a bad question? It's not even a question. It's a statement. Yeah. And that statement stops your thinking. It tells your brain, no money, we can't, no go. But let's turn it around another way. Let's try something like, well, how might we raise the money? Or how might we reduce the cost? Or what might be all the ways we can reduce the cost? And questions framed in that way, they provoke your mind to go search for solutions and for ideas. Mm-hmm. They're saying to your brain, okay, go look for solutions. And when we use the word might, these can be any solutions. We haven't made up any decisions yet. So we put these questions, these creative question starters, in front of the issues that are out there. So we're going to say, instead of just a statement, we're going to put the words, how might we, or how to. And these creative questions do a number of things. They diffuse difficult conversations. Instead of saying things, well, like the marketing department doesn't give us enough information. Well, how might we increase communication between marketing and engineering? Or they lower judgment. Well, like management will never go for this idea. Well, how might we convince management of the value of this idea? Or something, or even at home, like you never take the trash out. Okay. So, well, how might you enjoy taking the trash out? Or how can you feel that taking the trash out is important for the family? So they help to deal with difficult conversations. And when you phrase something like, what might be all the ways to, the conversation changes, the energy in the room changes. And just using those phrases, that's the language of creativity. How to, how might, what might be all the ways to.
Yeah. You know what I really like about your whole the concepts there, Roger, is that the books and your thinking make it easy for a business to adopt a culture of creativity across the business. Yes. Otherwise it's just a creativity department with a locked door. I was filming at a major company called Draeger, which is a German company, but they make the breathing apparatus for firemen and things like that. Yes. Yeah, they're a brilliant company. But at everything on the workflow going around, there was an information station, and so the people of the teams were encouraged to share information on KPIs, but also share their thoughts on how something could be improved. And yes. It really doesn't. You don't need to have a whole sort of cohort of creative thinkers there. A lot of it lies within the business already, doesn't it?
Well, and the thing is, too, is that one of the things that we talk about in Create in a Flash is we talk about lessons learned in 40 years in this business. And, we talk about reward systems and those sorts of things. Well, all these elaborate systems for monitoring innovation and stuff, frankly, I don't feel that they're necessary. If it's something like you mentioned there, how can you make your job just a little bit better that you can implement right there? All these little tiny improvements over time create massive improvements. The old Kaizen principle, a little bit better, a little bit better, a little bit better. And it's not something you can mandate, and it's also the thing is having been in this business this long, little pieces, I love what you're doing with these short podcasts, because these are things that are digestible that people can use. And so hopefully what they're going to take from this is like, ask a creative question. How to, how might I, just by doing that, just those things can change a culture. You don't need to learn 100 creativity techniques. So we talk about in the book, 4 or 5 things that work consistently. And the number one is this whole language of creativity, the whole language of possibilities.
Yeah, excellent. Now, Roger's book is called Why Didn't I Think of That? And is published by Green Tractor Publishing. Your customer wants innovation. Nobody wants to buy old. In my mind, every business needs to have an innovation incubator, a breeding department that will keep that business firmly ahead of competition and meet customer demands. Roger gives you the process to deliver that. Thanks, Dr. Roger Firestien.
Thank you, Malcolm. It was my pleasure.